Hello, baseball fans, and welcome back to District Baseball. I am your host, Trey. You can follow me on Twitter at reverse 2Rs, 2Ss. And you can follow the show at District BSB. It was a 4-3 week for our Washington Nationals, a winning week, which always feels good, but it definitely feels even better when it comes against two rivals, the Beltway Series versus the Orioles, and the NL East leading New York Mets coming to town this week. Just like last week, I'm going to be doing this recap style. I'm going to go game by game, just give you the rundown of what happened, make a few points, and then at the end, I will expand on some of those points, talk about specific storylines and players and stuff like that, maybe a few stats here and there as well. But let's go ahead and get on into the recap with Game 1 against the Orioles. Coming into the series, the O's were severely struggling with their starting pitching as the Nats were with their bullpen. So it was going to be a series where there was some runs scored, and there was. Maybe not as many as we might have anticipated. But in the first game, it certainly looked to be a high run scoring environment with the Nationals jumping out and kind of just slaughtering the O's in this game. It was one of the more easy wins of the year for the Nats, which is something rare. I feel like most of the time when this team wins, it's you're clenching your fists and your heart rate's pumping. And there were some games like that this week as well. Trust me. But they didn't start us off. They gave us a nice little intro into the week with a 7-0 victory. And they got up to their hitting ways early on in the game. James Wood double followed by a Nathaniel Lowe homer, which that happened in the first inning, and that was actually all Mitchell Parker would need as he went 8 innings shutout with only 1 hit allowed. An absolute gem of a performance from Mitch. I'm sure that we won't be talking about him in a totally different light later in this episode. But realistically speaking here, there wasn't actually that much to talk about. The Nats just came out and dominated, and they played a really good game. And that's kind of how it goes when you play a clean baseball game. It feels like there's not that much to discuss. It was just good ball. Simple as that. Nice, easy win. Game 2 was not. It was way closer throughout the entire game. It started great with the Nats actually taking an immediate 3-0 lead. So jumping out early was something they did against this O's team a couple times. And guess who? It was James Wood, because he's James frickin' Wood. He's like, people call Juan Soto the reincarnation of Ted Williams. What does that make James Wood? Just saying. Anyways, he led off the game with a bomb because he's ridiculous. And Josh Bell actually added his own two-run homer in that first inning, one of his 8 hits on the season, with 4 of the other ones being homers. But that was a big one. Got us out to an early start, which, of course, we very much capitalized on by immediately forgetting how to hit for 7 innings. I felt like we didn't have a base runner for most of the game after that first inning. And, in the meantime, we had... I believe that was a Trevor Williams start. He was pretty solid. 5 innings, 1 run. And the bullpen wasn't horrendous. I mean, they did give up a couple runs, and the Orioles did tie the game. However, that's more on the offense, not scoring for 7 innings after starting hot. And not even just not scoring, but really not putting up any fight at all. They didn't do much. So it ended up coming down to the end of the game, 3-3 in the 8th. And you're going to want to remember this for later, but the 8th inning began with an Alex Call leadoff hit, and eventually Luis Garcia got the job done with a sac fly for the Nats' 4-3 lead, and Kyle Finnegan closed it out completely normally, no stress here, just like he always does. He has never, ever caused me any amount of stress or anxiety or heart palpitations. So just a really clean outing for Finnegan. Jokes aside, it was a Finnegan outing where you are convinced the entire time that he's going to blow it, and then he doesn't. So he got the win. That's a 2-0 series lead, which was massive. Let's go out tomorrow. Let's sweep those birds. No. Game 3 was not as fun. You can't expect to sweep, especially when you're the Nationals and this is your roster. But a little bit more life from the offense would have been nice, because the Nats have a little bit of an issue with some left-handed pitching. Cade Povich was the pitcher for the Orioles in Game 3, and he had a 6+ ERA coming in to that game, and actually nearly went 7 innings with 1 run allowed to the Nats. And the one thing that you'll notice if you've watched a lot this year, the Nationals against lefties watch so many fastballs go by. They're not ready to hit the fastball, and this is something that even Davey mentioned to the broadcast, because they brought it up. That was that, they're just kind of throwing fastballs on 2-strike counts right over the plate, and we're just watching them. It's like we're looking too much for the off speed. And I get why their mindset's that way, because like if you're facing the lefty and you're thinking as a lefty, you're probably like, okay, he wants me to swing at a slider. That's what he wants me to do. But if you get in that headspace too much, then teams will just start throwing that 2-strike fastball, start pitching you backwards a little bit, which seems to be happening. So Nats are going to have to make some adjustments there. It also doesn't help that the majority of the lineup is lefties at this point. It was kind of funny. I mean, we'll get to the Mets series in a little bit, but the SNY crew, I was listening to them, and they were kind of confused about Davey's use of 3 lefties right at the top of the order, because when the bullpen comes in, your lefty out of the bullpen has an easy matchup there. And so the next day he put in 4 lefties in a row. So it's not really his fault here, because we just don't really have anyone. We don't have like amazing right-handed hitters right now. I mean, I would say Dylan Cruz is coming along. Alex Call's been good, but he's not like a power guy. Who else? Not much. So we're very reliant on lefty hitters, and when we have to face lefty starters, we have not been able to handle them. So that's definitely something that's going to have to be fixed. But that is fixable for sure. Just got to be ready to hit. I mean, I feel like maybe when the lefty comes out, for some reason we get less aggressive, which, I mean, I'm kind of a proponent of being more patient anyways, but if they're going to start pitching you backwards, and you got to be ready to hit on the 2-strike count for the fastball. And anyways, you shouldn't really be taking pitches out of that close with 2 strikes anyways, but that seems to be something that has been a sticking point so far in the season against lefties. In other news, Mackenzie Gore was really good. Again, another quality start, 6 innings pitched, 2 runs. Good enough to win, obviously, but the offense didn't back him up that day. And right now he is leading the league in F4 and is second in K percentage behind Logan Gilbert. So, I mean, in terms of the peripherals, Mackenzie Gore is doing the thing. And even in terms of the base numbers, he's doing the thing. But, man, the way he's striking batters out and not walking them is pretty special. And, yeah, we're probably going to need it. The more innings he can give us, the better, for sure. But yeah, so that O series, it was a good series overall, so I'm not really too upset about how Game 3 transpired, but at the same time, the lefty thing, that's a problem. This team has a 70 WRC plus and a 24% K percentage, which for us, that's pretty high for a team that's supposed to be contact-oriented against lefties. So definitely something maybe needs to be fixed, maybe by a call-up, potentially, if there is somebody really doing work in the minors. I actually haven't looked much, if I'm being honest with you, because I normally start looking at that stuff around, mid-May, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to get any big roster changes till at least then. But yes, it's maybe time to start looking at somebody down in AAA potentially to come in and fill in a DH role, right-handed hitter specifically, because that's kind of what we've been missing against the lefties. So something to keep in mind there. But moving on to the Mets series. Oh man, this was a objectively hilarious series, no matter what angle you look at it from. But we'll get into that shortly. So Game 1, Jake Irvin. I mean, He has really, really come around since his first couple outings where he struggled. Ever since that first inning in that Dodger game, since then, he has been really, really lights out. And we've needed it. And once again, he understood the assignment and said, yeah, let's save this bullpen and go 7 innings. He actually went out for the 8th, which I was kind of okay with because I knew that he was going to get pulled when Lindor came up, which was good. He did get that. I actually agreed with the decision making in this game. It just didn't work out because, unfortunately, Jose Ferrer, which it was his 3rd day in a row pitching, but I didn't mind it because you don't want Lindor hitting lefty there. It just didn't work. It just didn't work out. He just couldn't. He just didn't have it. That's like you can tell sometimes when a guy comes out of the pen and just can't get an out. It just happens. So Finnegan had to come in, and he could not quite fireman his way out of it this time, unfortunately. So the Mets took the lead 4-3 in that 8th inning, actually. So yes, another winnable game wrecked by the bullpen and just pure misery. Hold on, I'm getting word that the Nationals came back and won the game. I think someone even used an S word, but I couldn't quite make out what that word was yet. CJ Abrams is back, baby. That was something that actually happened in the Orioles series. He returned in Game 3 from his hip injury. And I gotta say, he just looks a lot better, a lot more mobile, especially defensively. In the Mets series, he was excellent defensively. And it kind of went down to how mobile he was up the middle early in the season, whereas, coming back from injury, he has looked so much more comfortable going up the middle. So, and especially squaring his hips back toward the target on his throws, he really wasn't able to do that pre-injury. So, it looked like that was definitely a good thing to send him to the IL and get him straight before the season really gets going. So, good to have him back. He had a good series versus the Mets. And CJ got on base. And let me tell you, when he got on base, magic happened. Okay? Magic happened. CJ Abrams on first, James Wood at the dish. And here's the call from Charlie Slows and Dave Jagler.
There he goes, the pitch, swinging a ground ball toward the middle. McNeil can't get it. Into center field. Abrams heading for third. He's going to try and score. Taylor's throwing home to the plate. He'll slide the tag. He is safe. He is safe. A Curly W's in the books. On a ground ball single up the middle by James Wood with a runner going on 3-2. After Dave Jagler said, why is Alonso not holding the runner? That's why he scores all the way from first on that. And the Nationals are mobbing James Wood. They have torn his jersey off around second base. The Nationals have won it with 2 of the 9th inning. A Curly W in the books, the final score. The Nationals 5 and the Mets 4.
You cannot tell me those guys are not the best in the biz. Anyways, an awesome Game 1 victory, much needed. I thought going into the series, we needed to at least get one. Because the Mets, in fairness to them, as much as we might not like the Mets, they have been the best team in baseball so far this year. Power ranked number 1. I believe that they haven't even lost 10 games yet. Did we actually give them their 10th loss? We may have. Let me quickly look that up as I'm sitting here. No, we did not. They don't even have 10 losses yet. So they're a good team. So I was thinking 1 win at least, and I'm okay. It's not ideal, but with winning the Orioles series, like I said last week, there's a difference between 3 and 4 weeks. 3 and 4 against the Pirates and Rockies, no, not good. If we went 3 and 4 this week, I would have felt a little bit better having won that series against the Orioles and playing tough against the best team in the league right now, which is the Mets. I don't know if they're going to end up as the best team in the league by the end of the year, but right now they definitely were, and they've been playing like it. So it was definitely big time to get that first win. Obviously in walk-off fashion with an insane first to home, stealing on the pitch, running. McNeil kind of boots it a little bit to give CJ a little bit more extra time to get home. It was crazy. Crazy ending. Awesome. Just shows the value of speed when it's out there on the base paths. And shows the value of CJ Abrams. I mean, I feel like at the very least he brought some great energy coming back. So that definitely sparked the team a little bit and helped us get some wins. But game 2 happened. It existed, some would say. It did indeed take place, but it wasn't very fun to watch for the Nats because we just kind of got shut down, honestly. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier, where the offense just kind of disappears. It just kind of disappears sometimes, and that happened a few times this series. Game 2 was one of those games, and I'd been a big fan of the Clay Holmes signing for the Mets as a starter because I felt like if there was a guy that you could convert successfully out of the bullpen into a starter, first of all, it's a guy who has to have started before, which he has, but also a guy that relies more on movement than velocity. That's Clay Holmes. I mean, he's all about movement on his pitches and getting ground balls, and that's what he did. The Nationals kind of fell into the trap of just bashing the ball into the dirt. That's pretty much what happened the entire time. Oh my goodness, I forgot in game 1. How did I forget the triple play? Oh my goodness. Sorry, I just read my notes and it just hit me that I didn't even mention it. Okay, so yeah, Jake Irvin went 7 1/3 innings. He allowed 1 run, and nothing else of note happened during that start. There definitely wasn't a triple play, and it definitely wasn't a ball that clearly hit the dirt, but was still called a catch. So that definitely did not happen in game 1. I'm lying. It was a clear missed call by the umps, and we're gonna roast the umps later. But I had to go back and make that note because I totally forgot. How did I forget about that? It was like the most insane thing that happened in game 1. Honestly, game 1 in general was just kind of wild. There was a lot of crazy things. This series in general, a lot of crazy things that happened. So back to game 2 anyways. Clay Holmes kind of dominated us, had us hitting the ball into the ground. And once again, the only thing of note, really, besides the Mets ending up winning that game in a shutout fashion, was the umpires. Because they did blow that triple play call the night before, and they blew 3 more calls in this game that were all overturned on replay by the Nationals. And let's be clear. If these were like bang bang, really, really close calls, it's one thing. But they were not. These were obvious misses. Like, just bad blown calls at first base. Just really bad. And it got even worse throughout the series. I can't think of a game that the Nationals challenged 3 times and still retained their challenge. Like, ever. So that should tell you how bad it was. It wasn't any better on the Mets side either. Trust me. It was bad all around. And it didn't get any better in game 3 because ump scorecards, I mean, you didn't even need the ump scorecards to tell you, but they gave Lance Barrett an 87% accuracy rating behind the plate for game 3, which for reference is awful. That is below the average of the most inaccurate umpire so far this year, Rob Drake, who has a 90% average accuracy. That was lower than the worst. That is bad. He missed 22 calls behind the plate. 22 misses. Awful. Challenge system, please. Anyways, the game itself was incredible. It didn't start that well, though. Mitchie P, Marijuana Mitch, whatever nickname or actual name you want to call him, finally happened. He got lit up. He wasn't going to keep a 1 ERA forever. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Eventually, someone was gonna get to him. Eventually, he wasn't gonna have all his pitches, which he didn't. He didn't have like almost any pitch until basically the second inning. The first inning, he walks 4 batters, gives up 5 runs. It's just it was never. He never had it. Never had a curveball. Never had a slider. Never had his fastball. I mean, I would say the only pitch that he really had was the splitter. And if you're not setting up the splitter with the other pitches, it's not that useful. However, respect to Mitch. He got through 5 innings, gave up 7 runs, He wore it, saved the bullpen a little bit, which ended up really mattering at the end of the game. Because although the Nationals went down 7-1 pretty early on in the game, it got real weird real fast in the 7th inning. Dare I say, no, not yet. I'm not saying the S word quite yet, but we're getting there. We're getting closer. We got a Sun-assisted double for Luis Garcia. That started off the inning. It didn't look like it was going to be much of anything because we actually got 2 outs pretty quickly. And then Josh Bell singled Garcia in, rare, because he doesn't hit singles anymore, apparently. But then the line just kept moving. Alex Call, again, keeps the line moving. RBI single. Gets it to Riley Adams. Riley Adams. Now, let me tell you something. I do not envy Riley Adams' role as a baseball player right now in terms of performance. I'm sure it's not so bad to sit on the bench and just kind of chill and get paid a good amount of money to not play. At the same time, when you do have to come in and perform in that kind of a role where you're playing once every 10 days, impossible. So it's not really that weird that we wouldn't expect much from him in that spot because he hasn't even had a chance to hit. He has like 1 hit all year because he only has like 10 plate appearances. And the dude hits a bomb. A 3-run opposite field tank that was gone when it left the bat. Immediately out. Just destroyed. 7-6 game. The Nats then proceed to get into and escape a 2nd and 3rd jam with no outs somehow. A great diving play from CJ helped with that process, but that was a wild inning because I can't believe that we were able to get out of that without allowing any runs. And we needed to not allow any runs. 9th inning comes, we're down by 1. Remember this. Remember what I said that you need to remember about Alex Call. Because once again, homie comes up with a leadoff hit. This time it's a double. Leadoff double. Down by 1. Ruiz moves him to 3rd on a ground ball. Good situational hitting. And then, who else but CJ Abrams, back from his IL stint, coming up to the dish, infield in, gotta put the ball in play, which he does, sneaks one past Pete Alonso for the game-tying run, and once again, the Nats have tied this game in the 9th against Ryan Stanek. Luis Garcia hits a chopping ground ball. Honestly, was probably gonna go down as a hit, because Stanek was probably not going to beat Garcia to the bag, or it was going to be really close. Honestly, Pete Alonso should not have thrown this ball, but he did anyways. Overthrows Ryan Stanek, CJ Abrams scores, Nationals win again. In fact, I will come out and finally say it officially. The Scrappy Nats won that Game 3. The S word has been dropped. It took a while this season to get there, but that was a true Scrappy Nats performance after an already pretty Scrappy Nats performance in that Game 1. As much as we give crap to the Scrappy Nats nickname and like it's kind of a joke, sometimes it's not a joke. Sometimes it's fun. So there you go, Scrappy Nats. You got me to say it. Back again. And then the 4th game, I'm pretty sure, actually pretty sure the 4th game didn't even happen. I'm pretty sure they just kind of skipped over that one and just left that one to the Birds. We didn't really need that one. That game didn't happen. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, pretty yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's talk about Game 4 for a second. I'm not gonna dwell on Game 4 because it was just stupid. But the Nationals lost 19-5. It got very silly after about the 6th inning. Trevor Williams was like kind of okay. The Nats really didn't hit. It was like 3-0. And then, yeah, it just imploded. Nobody in the bullpen could get an out. Eventually, we had to go to a position player, Ahmed Rosario. pitching. Brandon Nimmo had 9 RBIs. He had a grand slam. He had 2 homers. Just overall, a very not good outing for the pitching staff or the team in general. They ended up scoring 5 runs, but if we're being honest, it was complete garbage time against Jose Urena. But you know what? James Wood hit a homer. James Wood hit a homer, and that's what I'm going to remember from that game. Let's completely scrap that game, put it behind us. It didn't even happen. Didn't even happen, okay? Anyways, that's a 4-3 week for the Nats. 2-2 versus the Mets in that series, which was more than I could ask for a split, honestly. Like that game 4 obviously was kind of embarrassing, but I'm not even going to dwell on it because the Nats did so much good this week. And it's a little frustrating, though, because what it tells you is that, once again, we are on the roller coaster. This team is inconsistent as all hell, but they are not boring. That is for damn sure. They are not boring. So at least we got that going for us. But, obviously we want to make this more consistent with this. The offense will show flashes, and especially when it comes to the young guys this week. I mean, Wood, Cruz, Garcia, Abrams, Tena, even. Just all those young guys really performing. And, you can see that they're kind of ready to go. And, they just don't quite have enough pieces around them to get them over the hump. But this was a good week to try and kind of build on and see if we can't put kind of those inconsistent results in the past and try and actually, get going and win some games here. Things to note from these series from this week: the umps. My God, I don't think I've seen a worse ump crew in my life. I swear, than that Mets crew. I mean, the botched triple play. They had about 7 calls overturned, 3 in one game by the same team. Today, there was maybe the worst call of the entire freaking series, with Pete Alonso getting called out on a play where it wasn't even, I know I said it wasn't even close on the other ones. I can't even describe how not you can see it in real speed. That's how bad this is. I'm watching the broadcast. They're standing there looking at it from right in front of them, and I'm watching on a broadcast with a camera angle that's way up high, and I can tell right away that it's the wrong call. That's not good. That's not good. And that's how it was, and it was like that a couple times today. I'm recording this on Monday night, so the Monday game was pretty bad, but the Sunday and Saturday games were worse. Like I said, Lance Barrett behind the dish in game 3 was absolutely horrendous, both ways. Really, really bad. Game 2, 3 overturned calls by the same team. Can't happen, and it's these replays are quick, so they can't feel good about that. I mean, I feel like they can't. I don't know. Did they ever get fired, I guess? So maybe they don't care. But, man, that was pretty pathetic. Other thing to note, energy at home seems to be the name of the game for this team, and we have got to find a way to bring that on the road. We have to. Because last year, it was the freaking opposite. Last year, we couldn't win at home, but we won everything on the road. So, can we just take the good from last year and the good from this year and put them together and just do that? Is that hard? Is that oversimplification? I think it might be. But that seems to be the name of the game. We got to bring some of that energy. And you can tell, last week I was complaining about the team's lack of energy on the road, and you could just see it, that they weren't playing with any enjoyment or fun or really effort, besides a few players. But then they came home. This week was completely different. I mean, every single play was hustle, 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 hustle. Never give up. Did not give up the entire time. Even down 15 freaking nothing today, they didn't quit. So we got to bring that on the road. Has to be done. Again, starting pitching pretty solid this week. Besides Mitch's blow up, and honestly, Trevor Williams having to be stretched out a little too long in a game that he probably shouldn't have been in the 6th inning. But the bullpen struggles and the fact that we don't have an off day until like May 6th is probably the reason why he was in there. So it's going to get tough here for the bullpen. Probably going to have to call somebody up just to get a fresh arm at some point. So we'll have to see how that goes. There is some silver lining for the bullpen right now, which is Jackson Rutledge pitching pretty well, and honestly, up until today's outing, Cole Henry was as well. But he had to come. He came in the 6-0 game and just got blitzed. Just didn't have it today. But I still like what he's done for the most part in high leverage so far. It was a little weird that we used him in that situation today when he's been used in high leverage for the last 3 appearances before that, but it is what it is, I guess. I still think Henry and Rutledge are good to have in the back end of the bullpen right now, which, for most teams that's disgusting, but we're just going to have to take what we can get. And finally, Dylan Crews balling out. I mean, the first couple weeks are behind him now. The strikeout rate has shot way down. He's got a 170 WRC plus the last couple weeks, 333, 360, 636 with a 1.006 OPS, only a 14% K rate. It's been massive near the bottom of the lineup and probably needs to start moving up in the lineup on days the Nats face lefties because he's been seeing them a bit better lately. And like I said earlier, the Nats got to find some kind of solutions against the lefties. Just to get them up there to break up the lefties in the lineup. When we face a lefty, at least. And also I mentioned Tenna earlier, but he's been really good since he got more playing time. 357, 500 slugs since getting more playing time, starting more often. Defense has been much better than it was at the end of last year, so that's a very good development. And then in his place, obviously, he's been playing for Paul DeJong, who just recently underwent surgery to his nose, and I believe he had a slight orbital fracture as well. So he's going to be out for a while. So Tenna's going to have to step up, and he has been so far. Pretty much what we got to do, we just got to stop playing to our competition and start going out and winning games. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. You got to bring the same energy every night, and that just hasn't been the case so far this year. But like you can see, when they do bring that energy, they're so much better. They're so much better. They're so much more focused and locked in. And when they're having fun, they play well. It's cliche, but it's true. It's just a fact. When you're enjoying the game, you will play better. And they enjoyed the game this week. They looked like they actually wanted to be there. They wanted to be on the field in front of the home crowd, making things happen. Now let's go on the road against these stinky Phillies and do the same damn thing, all right? So we got a couple series previews before we end this episode. Philly is the first series on the list, Tuesday through Thursday. That'll be starting tonight when this is uploaded. It'll be Gore versus Wheeler, opening day rematch. That was a fun opening day for Mackenzie Gore. Hopefully he can have the same kind of success as he did in that one. We need to obviously back him up with some offense and potentially a bullpen performance, but looking forward to that. He hasn't been the best in Citi Field in his career, so looking to kind of get off the schneid there after he sort of established himself over the Phillies in opening day at home. Now it's time to go on the road and prove it once again. I feel like he will be able to do so. At least hold this Phillies offense down, which they have not been quite as good as they probably will be. Although they did kind of break out a little bit versus the Cubs. I still think this is the time to strike. We can kind of get them when they're on their heels a little bit, and potentially get a spot starter out of their rotation, because they don't have anybody listed for their second two games as their starters. So you might get a fresh off the IL Ranger Suarez, who probably won't be able to throw that many innings. And then you can kind of get into the Phillies bullpen, which has been pretty bad this year. I mean, there's not many teams that are kind of up there with the Nationals bullpen, which there's definitely not after today's excursion and 19 runs being scored. But the Phillies bullpen has not been good. They're near the bottom of the league. So got to take advantage of that for sure. And then we head over to Cincinnati, which is a series I've had circled because you want to talk about some young, exciting talent. These two teams have it. I mean, you got all of our boys, and then you add in the Reds. They've got Ellie, Noelvi Marte, Matt McClain, Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, just some of the guys they've got over there. It's going to be a really, really fun series. I really recommend you watch that one if you can, because win or lose, it's going to be entertaining with all the speed on the bases and in the field and the defense and some great pitching from guys that are pretty young. So definitely, if you want to see the future of baseball, I would say watch this series. It's going to be a fun one. Again, would like to go probably 500 this week. 3-3 would be fine. Take one from the Phillies at least. Potentially take two. Honestly, the Reds have been playing better than the Phillies, so the Reds are probably the tougher matchup right now. But any division matchup can be tough. But we got to bring the energy. That's the. I feel like that's simple. It sounds simple, and it is. But that's what it's got to be. They got to be ready to go. Pitch one, get in the box, get ready. Let's go. Let's win a series in Philly, in Cincinnati. Bring the energy. Anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in once again this week to another episode of District Baseball. It was more fun this week to talk about the games than it was last week for sure. But obviously, once again, like I said, we are on the roller coaster and we are strapped in till the end, no matter what. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next episode. And as always, let's go baseball. Peace.